The Hogs are back on the field in Fayetteville, getting ready for the 23 season. It's just about a month away, and we are going to break it down right here with Ty Hudson from Tusk Talk with Ty, and get on over there right here on YouTube and check out what Ty's got to offer. Hey, Ty, what's going on?
What's going on, Mark? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. We are less than 4 weeks away from football.
It's in the air. You could smell it.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Not that we've got too many questions about the guy that's going to make the offense go there in Fayetteville, KJ Jefferson, 68%, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks. And he's just about as lethal as anybody once he decides to tuck it and run. No corner or safety wants to see him headed their way. So your thoughts about KJ Jefferson?
Yeah, really excited. Third year as the head, the leader of the offense, 3 years straight. That's always lovely to have back. I think that this is a year for him. He knows he has to set out and accomplish something big because there's no doubt he's ready to go pro. He wants to get the draft stock up and wants to put on a show for everybody in 2023. Maybe break some. I don't want to say the wrong opinions of the Razorbacks, but certainly there are some folks. I think Vegas has Arkansas at something like 7 wins on the year. You know, there's not a lot of high expectations for the offense this year, despite having, arguably one of the top quarterback, running back duos in not just the SEC, but maybe in college football. Not the best, but up there, certainly. And despite that, there's still some folks that just aren't really that thrilled. So I think he, wants to change some minds and opinions. And obviously, you know as well as I do, you got to do that on the field. You got to prove everybody wrong. And I think that's going to be their goal this year is obviously to win games. I think Rocket actually came out and said that's what's on his mind, not yardage, but winning games, which is so good to hear. But KJ, I think, wants to prove people wrong. And I know Dan Enos is certainly, if I had someone to choose from, if I were Sam Pittman, I don't know. He would be on my short list too to bring to Arkansas. So we'll see how the two of them, how they mesh as the season unfolds, KJ and Dan Enos.
Yeah, so has Enos given us any indication as to whether this is the Dan Enos of his first day at Arkansas, or if he's a different guy with a different scheme, or he feels like he's going to change anything to fit the current roster?
I know he did do an interview with Hogs Plus, and I have not watched it. I don't know how long ago it was released, and I don't know that maybe he did express what he wants to really do with the offense. But listen, through spring camp, what I noticed was, man, they certainly do like to run the ball in camp. They ran, and it was 2 tight end sets. It was lone back, 2 tight end set. Didn't see a lot of strong eye, fullback. Didn't see much of that. But these days it's not really a fullback anymore. It's just the tight end moving in motion, and then he's going to be the pop out blocker. At least in this day and age of the RPO, the fullback is eliminated. No more Mike Allstotts these days. But I believe you're going to see. I want to call it a spread pro style offense. I think is what it's going to look like. I think it's going to be it's going to be a pro style offense, but it is going to be a little bit of spread. There's going to be RPO. It's not the veer and shoot that Kendall Briles ran here the last 3 years, but it is going to have heavy elements of the RPO. You're going to see KJ under center. You're going to see KJ with a running back behind him in the pistol. It's going to be a different look for people who got used to the Kendall Briles offense the last 3 years. And who knows too, man, they could come out with the old wing T. I really don't know, or the wishbone offense for all we know. But I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be anything that wild. But I kind of get the sense that Sam Pittman, just when people ask him about Dan Enos or when he's been asked about the offense, you always kind of feel like he's leaving something out. Like there's something more going on. Maybe that's just my suspicious nature. I don't know, but more than likely, it's probably going to be a pretty heavy version of what we saw in spring camp. He's going to work with what he has. I think that's kind of Enos' style. He walked in 2015 And I mean, the offense is one of the top 3 offensive performances in Razorback history in terms of yardage, breaking over 6,000 total yards of offense. They've only done that 3 times, and Enos was the guy the first time around in 2015 to do that. So I don't know if they do that again. If they break 6,000 yards, that would certainly be great. There's still a lot more that goes along with that, but you got to have the defense helping you out and special teams, and you got to win a lot of field position battles and whatnot, and score quick and often, and gobble up a lot of yards quickly. And I don't know if he's going to do that or not. I know year 1 at Maryland, they were pretty effective. I think they tied some kind of bowl record in Maryland history in points scored in a game or something in a postseason game. So, I don't know what they bring to the table this year in terms of what we really want to call the offense. That seems to be, and I get it because I'm the same way, everyone wants to put a name on it. What is this offense? And I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be the Enos. Well, I want to be given an excuse to call it the Enos Express. But in order to do that, you got to put up a lot of points. You got to score a lot. You got to be highly effective, probably like a run game, have a lot of success on the ground, like the Pony Express at SMU back in 1980. I'm itching to call it the Enos Express, but he's got to prove that on the field this year, right? With the right production, got to score a lot, put up a lot of yards, and be successful in the red zone. Something Arkansas was not last year. But yeah, I don't know, Mark. Hopefully fall camp we get a really better idea at least before they take on their week 1 opponent of what they're trying to do on offense.
If I see 40 or 45 points on the board for the Hogs the first few weeks of the season, I'll be looking out for that Enos Express nickname.
I'm itching to call it that, the Enos Express.
Hopefully it doesn't become the Enos Slug, the Enos Caterpillar, or the Enos Turtle, or I don't know where else we would go with that. But the Enos Express rolls off the tongue much better than anything else I offered for what the negative side of that could be. So it seems meant to be. All right, Jacoby Criswell may have to fill in. Nobody wants to see KJ on the sideline unless there's a 4-touchdown lead. How comfortable are you if Jacoby Criswell has to step in during a meaningful portion of a game, or maybe carry it for 1 or 2 or 3 games?
Last year I thought, and this was based off what we got to see from Malik Hornsby. It was the fact that Malik was, they pulled him out of the portal, and also what Sam Pittman told the media. He told the media, and I want to say this was going into fall camp last year. Someone asked him, how does Malik Hornsby look? And Sam's response was always night and day, in a positive way. It's night and day how much better, how much more comfortable, and how much better he is just as a passing quarterback, or as the complete package. Well, as we found out, Arkansas didn't really have a QB2 last year. We all bought into the hype. I was guilty of it. I thought for sure, he did look comfortable. When I saw him throughout fall camp and when I saw him in practice, he did look pretty comfortable. But when the lights came on, he slipped. I mean, he looked horrible. Now, he had a couple of moments. I think the Mississippi State game, he certainly had a couple of really nice moments. His total production wasn't atrocious, but he couldn't consistently lead the offense down the field. And the game just seemed too big for him, against Mississippi State. In a game that Arkansas lost, obviously without KJ, he wasn't in that game. Shouldn't have played in the Liberty game. And then he was out for LSU, and Arkansas barely lost that game in Fayetteville. But they never had a QB2 last year. Cade Fortin he's not a backup quarterback in this league, at least based on what we've seen so far. And I made that comment on here last time, and I stick by it until he proves me otherwise. Jacoby, also a 4-star. He's actually from the state of Arkansas. So he is a native. He's back home from North Carolina. I've seen the good. I've unfortunately not had the ability, or I should reach out to some folks at North Carolina and ask them up there like what their thoughts were of Jacoby before he left. I will say through spring camp, he started off rough like they all did, and then the conclusion of spring camp, he looked fantastic. Now, again, it's going to be the same situation. God forbid they need him, because obviously, like you just alluded to, if that is the situation, then Arkansas's in some trouble, right, without KJ. I don't know if I do feel better. I will say that. I feel better because this is not a guy they've talked about moving out to wide receiver. I don't know if you remember this, but last year you and I talked about Hornsby moving out to wide receiver. And I said, that's a red flag for me. That's really strange. And of course, we saw how that unfolded. He was not a quarter. He just wasn't ready. The stage was just too big for him. Jacoby's the opposite. Jacoby, it feels like he's just kind of tailor-made, and I hope he grows out of it. I'm sure he will, but he feels like he is tailor-made to be a backup quarterback in this league. I loved his arm. I loved what I saw in spring camp. But again, when the lights come on, that's something else entirely. We won't really know until we actually, see him go out and perform. But I do, and I feel strange saying this, just like I did last year. I thought they were comfortable at the backup spot. But once again, here I am telling you, I feel pretty good about him as a backup, about their situation. Now you get behind him, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. There's a pretty big drop off at that spot at quarterback, because you've got true freshman, then you got Cade Fortin, and the freshman's not ready yet. Maybe we'll see what happens through fall camp, but yeah, you're going to need both those guys to stay healthy this year. That's 100% sure.